right, so here we go. We've already got the arm panel loose, and we've already gotten, we had to take a block out from here, the wooden block. Basically what I did to take that block out is we took the arm cap off, and we just basically took a hammer, took a regular hammer. We just basically tapped that block until the block came out. Once the block is removed, we re-staple back down the vinyl so it's nice and tight. You don't want the inside to be with waves and stuff like that or loose. So next thing we're going to put on is we're going to put on this metal bracket. This is for the table. This is actually what holds the table in. We'll put it in here on these T-nuts, and these are 1/4-20s. So I'm going to start here for you guys to see. All right, so we put this in this small little, it's a 1-inch pan head machine screw. Put it in where it's just a little bit so this thing will still move. And then I'm also going to use just any particular 1/4-20 screw at this moment. Put it in here. See if I can find it. There we go. Just enough to make sure. That way you know that your piece, these two are locked in. We'll take this one out eventually, but this one we're going to tighten up here in just a second. Just make sure that once this is in and this one's in, now you know this is going to be level. So you don't have to worry about too much on the level side. Make sure this outside one, the small one, is nice and tight. Run your hand on the inside. Make sure it didn't go all the way through. Make sure your bolt's not too long. So this one's nice. So 1 inch should be well. Now we're going to put in what we call our security screws. These are 1/2 inch. Put it in. Always rub the other side when you put in a screw like that, just to make sure it's not too long. Even if a little bit of this right here is sticking through on the other side, and you can barely feel it, it'll come through the vinyl, or somebody will definitely be on, feel it when they sit down on it. So you got 4 security screws. And then you can take this one out. Now you're in there solid. Once you put those in, I've got 1-inch screws that I put back into. This is the actual holes that's going to be holding the actual table on. So the top 2 holes, those actually have threads in them, so they're threaded. I put them all the way in. And then the bottom 2 holes, they're threaded down here in the plate, but not up here. So you just put your 1 inch in here, 1 inch here, just like that. And then normally what I use is some type of, you can use anything. You can use hand lotion. I use grease or anything. Some people try chalk. I don't like chalk as well. Just put a nice little blob on it like that. So you're gonna. Okay. The reason why I like to use grease is because it doesn't drain. It won't drain like some things you put on there. After it sits there for a while, it'll start dripping down. Right there. All right. So we've got those in the middle. Got my cap. Throw it at you guys. That's fine. All right. So you also know that these holes right here are going to be in this very corner part. So you want to take your. So what I want to begin to do here, and it's a little bit more difficult. In fact, what I'll do is, let's just go ahead and take this off while we're here. begin to pull these staples out. I want to get this here cleared off, this area right here. Get this clear. Once I stick this on and mark it, if you go to drill, all this kind of gets in your way. Staple this top side. Use a 1/4 inch staple on that. Anything longer than a 1/4 inch staple will go through the panel and stick out on the other side. All right, so I think we're ready to stick this panel back on. All right, so I've got my grease on the screws like I put on earlier. And you just want to make sure you line this up when you set it down and don't. Okay, so now you see you got 4 marks on here. That's exactly where your holes need to be. It's a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch bit like this. And you want to make sure when you're careful, you don't want to push all the way through to the other side. I got my hand on the other side so I can barely feel it when it comes through. All right, so you can press down. You see how I had a little pressure to it? Then bring it back out. Push this little piece back out. Okay. That staple may be in the way, so let me pull that staple out just to be safe. Get that staple out. There we go. All right. Now the reason why I'm using the 1/2 inch bit there is because if you just use a regular drill and drill the hole through it, it'll take you. It's hard to get it lined up. This gives you space to move around in, make the job a little easier and faster. Plus, plus once you put the block on, it's unseen. One of the things you want to make sure when you run this through, be careful. You don't want to wad up the foam on the other side. If it wads it up, it'll pull it out. And most times that ruins the panel. All right, so let me take this, clean this off. if you had to undo the vinyl, you want to make sure you staple it back once you're got it undone. I left that where it's floppy so that won't affect your screw when it comes through on the other side. Okay. All right. We're ready to stick this panel back on. Make sure you actually take your also make sure if you do use something like this oily, like a grease or the hand lotion or whatever, hand lotion is not as bad. Make sure you got an extra rag around, because if not, you'll get it on the panel. You might have some issues. Okay. Now the block. This one requires an extra thick block because it's on the same side as your hand rest, footrest handle. Okay, so we're going to cut these holes open. All right, so what I do is I get in the middle of that hole and cut a slant this straight down, and then cut from the inside. I don't put a total plus. I just put, like, so when I cut this hole here, I'll cut it in the middle and this direction toward the inside. Just in case, if you go too far this way, it may stick outside the block. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that's. I'll take my screws. Just take one. There. Just make sure you can find your holes. You know what I'm saying? Make sure they're in the right spot. This one I'm having a little difficult to make sure. So I already know when I put this in, this hole is going to be, based on where I cut it, it's a little bit to the left, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open this up just a little bit. All right. These tables are universal inside, but which side you put this on matters. So normally what I'll do is, this is the part that would face the patient. So if you're going to put it here, you want that piece to be on this side. Okay. So if you put it down, basically what I do is, it's going to sound weird, but I've done it enough. I don't actually measure it. Like, I just know I'm a ½ inch right here, okay, in the middle, and I'm about 1.5 inches right here on this side.
Okay.
So I can tell by looking at it because I've been doing it for a long time. So, and if it's off this way or that way just a little bit, that part is not going to necessarily matter. Bring it. sometimes if they ever send you panhead screws, just make sure it's flatheads. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you put panhead there. It just looks better when you open and close it. Now, generally out in the field, I do this. Generally, I lay the chair on the side. Like this, you're fighting gravity. If you're laying on the side, it's working with you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so we're getting ready to install the block. I've got a 4 1/4 panhead, flathead screw, and I have a 4-inch, and I have 2 3-inch screws. So, ready to put these in, hopefully. Okay, let me turn this around. If I can get it turned. Go. You videoing this too?
I don't have to.
All right. Okay. This piece has to be. Now, when you go to put these in, this piece goes up and down. All right. Yeah. If it's down, you can't get the screws in. So it has to be up. You know, like pulled out when you actually get ready to put this in. All right. See if I can get this in against gravity. So once I've got that in a little bit, that helps out. Now I can turn this around. So I'm not able to get that one in yet. Never tighten it up. You know, just keep this loose because you're going to have to move it around to figure out where the holes are. So you can see why those big holes I drilled are important. If you just put a little regular drill bit in there, it's going to be, if this is hard, imagine how it would be, you know, the other way. Let's lower the chair down a little bit too. How about that? Make it a little easier on us. If you ever wonder if maybe the screw you put in the top is too long, keep checking on it because it might be going to start pushing the wood back here. And if it pushes it out, if that happens, most time if you back it out, you can take a rubber hammer and tap it, you know, back where it's supposed to be. Push your table down, then you want to check it. So if this one's out of balance, you want to make sure you got you want to make sure it's in level. So it's this way is correct. Now I got to go this way some. Generally, that means obviously you're going to tighten the top bolts more. Perfect. Just like that. So if it's leaning one way or another, that you tighten these up, however they need to be tightened to make it move back and forth. So that's how you install the Bisak cable.